Chronic absenteeism and how teachers can keep kids in school. Our Etiwanda School District Title I 23-24 Professional Learning. September is National Absenteeism Awareness Month, and in its honor, we will consider steps that we can take as classroom teachers to help keep kids in school, learning and thriving. Family conferences will soon be upon us, and this is a great opportunity to reach out to those students who may already have some absences. What is chronic absenteeism? Well, chronic absenteeism is described as missing 10% of the school year, which equates to about 2 days per month or 18 days in the complete year. This includes excused absences, early pickups, late arrivals, and of course, unexcused absences. Chronic absenteeism has negative effects on student success. If students are not in school, they are not learning. Students who are chronically absent in grades K and 1 are far less likely to read on level at 3rd grade and are at higher risk of not even graduating from high school. Not only do students miss out on learning, but they miss out on being part of the school culture and making friends. The following video is narrated by Hetty Chang, the founder of Attendance Works and the national initiative that explores the chronic absenteeism crisis. Let's watch as she shares what she has learned.
Nationwide, at least 1 out of 10 students misses nearly a month of school every year. In some cities, as many as 1 in 4 students are missing that much school. I'm Hetty Chang. I'm the founder and director of Attendance Works, a national initiative committed to addressing this alarming, largely overlooked crisis that's preventing too many children from having a chance to learn and succeed. When a student misses 10% or more of the school year, or about 18 or more days, we call that chronic absenteeism. That is a red alert that a student is headed for academic trouble and eventually for dropping out of high school. Too often we think that absences aren't a problem as long as they're excused, or that a child's learning won't be affected unless he or she misses a lot of days all in a row. But research shows that missing 10% of the school year, which can be just 2 or 3 days every month, can add up to so much lost time in the classroom that children just can't keep up. And we don't realize that poor attendance isn't just a problem in high school. It can start as early as kindergarten or preschool. Many of these early absences aren't truancy or skipping school. They're excused absences occurring for a variety of reasons. Even so, they all add up to lost learning time. If chronic absence continues year after year, some students may have missed half a year of instruction by the time they reach 3rd grade. Emerging research shows that children chronically absent in both kindergarten and 1st grade are far less likely to read proficiently at the end of 3rd grade. If children don't show up for school regularly, they miss out on the chance to acquire fundamental reading and math skills and to build a habit of good attendance that will help them throughout their education and in the workplace. Children from low-income families are especially hard hit. Children living in poverty have fewer resources to make up for the lost learning opportunities and are more likely to experience chronic absence because of the economic and health challenges they face. And when too many children miss too much school, the constant churn affects the whole classroom. It's harder for teachers to teach and other students to learn. The good news is chronic absence is a problem we can solve. Families, schools, and communities working together can improve attendance. So, now it's your turn. Is chronic absence a problem in your school or community? What will you do to help end chronic absence and ensure every child is in school so they can learn? Remember, when it comes to academic success, we can all help send the message that going to school every day is essential to a brighter future for our children. Join us this September as we launch Attendance Awareness Month throughout the country.
In order for us to accept the call to action and address chronic absenteeism, let's explore the rates here in the Etiwanda School District. In 2019, the absenteeism rate was just over 4%, and some of our Title I sites averaged just a bit more than the district average. We know that socioeconomically disadvantaged students can suffer more from high absenteeism rates and suffer its effects more greatly. In looking at the data for the school year ending in 2022, we see that the rates skyrocket. The data clearly shows that absenteeism is something that we need to be concerned about here in our own district. While part of it could be the tail end of COVID, what we do notice is that the trend is alarming and continues to grow. So far in the 23-24 school year, in just the first 16 days of school, our Title I sites are running an absenteeism rate between 13 and 19%. Clearly, we have many students who are chronically absent and in need of our intervention. Chronic absenteeism boils down to 4 root causes: barriers, aversion, disengagement, and misconceptions. Barriers to good attendance include chronic illness, family responsibilities, trauma, transportation, lack of predictable schedules, and housing and food insecurities. With aversion to school, we see that this can also impact attendance. Students that struggle with academics or behavior, or who have anxiety or changes to their social structures, are sometimes averse to coming to school. Students that feel disengaged are more likely to be absent at higher rates. Lack of culturally responsive instruction, feeling bored at school, or lack of meaningful connections contributes to this absenteeism. And finally, misconceptions about how attendance impacts student success need to be considered. The Attendance Works organization shares 3 tiers of intervention. Tier 1 is typically done at the school site and district level for all students. Your site may be sending out attendance matters messaging to families and are having attendance initiatives at the school site. Tier 2 interventions are more specific and can be instituted by the classroom teacher, student success coach, and/or administrators. As the classroom teacher, consider who those students are that have already missed days during this first month of school. Are they at risk for becoming chronically absent? Tier 3 interventions are for students who miss the most amount of school. You probably already have an idea of who they are. These students will require a team effort approach to good attendance habits. You, the success coach, and your administrator can work with the site and district resources to reach out to families. Later in this presentation, some resources will be linked that can be shared with your families. The 6 foundational and Tier 1 attendance supports listed on the slide should be available for all students throughout the school year. Foundational supports promote the positive conditions for learning that ensure that students are engaged and want to show up to school. These strategies are designed to raise awareness and motivate every student to strive for good attendance. They include communication about absenteeism, routines in school and at home that set students up for success, recognition of and prioritization of good attendance, family involvement partnership, and connection to students and letting them know that they are missed when they are not in school. Tier 2 supports are more in-depth and are intended to provide supports to students who missed 10% or more 18 days during the prior school year or are on track during the current school year. Remember, this includes all days missed regardless of the reason. Missing 10% of school is an early warning sign that a student is off track. The 6 supports have guiding questions and are steps that can be taken to improve attendance. During the school year, activate Tier 2 assistance when a student misses 2 days in the first month, a total of 4 days by the end of the second month, or 6 days by the end of the third month, and so on. Early attendance patterns are highly predictive of later absences. Research showed that attendance in the beginning of the year predicted chronic absence in the spring. During the current school year, activate Tier 3 supports whenever a student misses 20% or more of the days enrolled or has missed 20% or more of the past school year. Tier 3 support should also be added when a student's attendance does not improve during the current school year, even with Tier 2 interventions. Remember that each tier adds another layer of support. Tier 3 supports are generally taken care of through site and district collaboration. And don't forget that students requiring additional Tier 2 or Tier 3 support still benefit, as do all students, from those foundational supports in Tier 1. Family conferences are a great time to enter a conversation with families about attendance. As the Tier 1 support suggested, communication, family engagement, and connection are always ways to ensure good attendance for all. Conferences allow you the opportunity to let families know that their student matters and that being in class is imperative. As we accept Hetty Chang's call for action, the next couple of slides will provide some examples of what might be done. Let's think back to the root causes of absenteeism, the barriers, aversion, disengagement, and misconceptions that are out there. How can we accept the call to action and be part of the solution? This slide has just a few ways. Consider as you take roll by asking a question of the day. For instance, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? And instead of the students answering saying present, they might answer with chocolate or mint chip or bubble gum. Or maybe it's sports playoff time and the students answer with their favorite team name. Simple, but the class learns something about one another and make connections. Minimizing health office trips is a great way to keep kids in school. Whether it is the magic of a walk to the bathroom, a Band-Aid, an ice pack, or crackers, keeping kids in class helps attendance. Noticing attendance habits and setting up systems of collecting missing work for students will be helpful if they are trying to work from home. Also, keeping your digital platforms up to date aids students working from home. The positive environment in your classroom and letting students know that they were missed will help them want to come to class. The suggestions on the slide are just a jumping off point of all the great ideas that you and your colleagues will come up with. What we do know is that school personnel are essential to eliminating chronic absenteeism. The strategies and supports on this slide are considered Tier 2. They will require us to dig a little deeper and consider what is really causing absences. This is where we go beyond noticing that a student has been absent frequently to doing something about it. The Student Success Coach at your site is a great place to start to gain additional information about a student and to brainstorm solutions with. Your Student Success Coach will be your partner in addressing absenteeism. It may also require talking to families to find those things that are in our sphere of influence. Sometimes something as simple as letting a child eat a snack in class, whether it's their own snack or something you have in the classroom, can help them to stay in class. For those students who you know have challenges, sending home a leftover math or reading consumables or summer slide workbooks that may have been returned can keep them actively engaged when they aren't in class. Arranging for independent study or preparing missing work can also help them to stay on track. For some families, work schedules may make for very busy mornings or very late nights. Helping to create a plan for getting ready may help students get to school on time. After-school activities are a great motivator for attendance as well. Remind students that when they aren't in school, they're like a missing piece of the puzzle, and the class isn't complete without them. The one-page flyers that are linked on this slide come from the Attendance Works organization. They can be printed for your reference and can be shared with families members at family conferences. They might be something to consider that you hand out at the end of the year as getting ready for the next grade, or include in your back-to-school packet at the beginning of the new school year. There are some that are relevant by grade level and some that are just for you. How I can help prevent chronic absenteeism. Individually or with your team, brainstorm and note ways that chronic absenteeism can be minimized at your site. Read the suggestions from the other grade levels too. Multiple heads are better than one. It is amazing what we can accomplish when we think of it together. As you plan for conferences or upcoming meetings with families, consider sharing your thoughts and ideas about how to encourage and plan for good attendance. The linked handouts and the Jamboard brainstorm will provide a great place in answering the call to address chronic absenteeism. Together with the great teaching and welcoming environment in your classroom, students will want to come to school and will thrive. Thank you for all that you do and the difference that you make in the lives of students and their families.